I saved it on the computer, and so because I was kicked out in the middle, it lost that part, and only the second part is there. So I think it's better to put on the cloud. That way, even if something happens, it's still recording. Okay, so we are in verse 29. Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasamaham pitrunam aryama chasmi yama samyatamaham. So last time we saw about Ananta, right? So Ananta is Shesha, and let's go to that sheet. Yeah, if you look at here, we didn't Varuna. So Shesha. So Shesha is, we saw that he is the very high deity, right? In terms of the hierarchy, we saw that Shesha, Rudra, and Garuda are. One second. See, Shesha, Rudra, and Garuda are, very up there, because above them is Brahma, Vayu, and above them is, the Lakshmi and Vishnu is above them. So they're very, Shesha is very much at the top. And the Shastras say that Rudra does not have mukti. So in the next cycle, Rudra is born as Shesha, and as Shesha he becomes a mukta. So Rudra Padavi or Rudra post does not have a Rudra mukti. Rudra post has Shesha mukti. So Rudra will be there, like for example, Shiva will be there for 100 years of Brahma. And then in the next birth, when the new Brahma comes, because Brahma will have mukti. After the 100 years of his life, Brahma will have mukti, and in the next one, that one which was prana in the previous cycle becomes Brahma in the next cycle, right? So that's why, there's a saying that, Hanuman is the next Brahma, right? Bhavi Samira. So the same way, Rudra is the Bhavi Shesha. So in the next cycle, the Shiva that was there for the 100 years of Brahma will next be born as Shesha. And then at the end of the 100 years as Shesha, he becomes a Mukta. Right? So these are the, Shesha is a very high deity. If you go back here, we saw that one trick question for you. During the, Pralaya, the Mahapralaya, when everything, the whole universe is gone, Vishnu is shown as Sheshashayi. How is there Shesha when there is a Mahapralaya?
I thought he was shown as Vatapatrashayi.
And also Sheshashayi.
Does that Shesha means Ananta then, or is that Shesha means who is the only one left?
No. That Shesha is actually Prakriti. And that Vatapatra is also Prakriti. Anything that is with Vishnu during Mahapralaya is Prakriti. Only transformation of that Prakriti is there with Vishnu. There is nobody else in Mahapralaya. So if it's shown as Sheshashayi, is shown as Vatapatrashayi, or anything else. Even the Padma that comes out of Vishnu, and it is called as the Virat, right? That's where Brahma is born, from Padmanabha, right? What is the Padma then? Where is when Padma is not born until 50 years of Brahma, after which the Bhumi is born, and then in the Bhumi everything will happen, and then the life will come on Bhumi, and then Padma will come. But what is that Padma? When Padma is so late, what is that Padma that's coming out of his Nabhi? That is Prakriti.
Mula Prakriti, right?
That, yeah, Prakriti is Mula Prakriti. Mula means that it is the base or the
Origin.
substratum from which the whole universe is made. The material cause of the universe. And that's why it's called Mula Prakriti. Again, Mula Prakriti is, it's a triad, right? It's Sat, Chit, Sat, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas.
Sunil, also and this, I can't corroborate to any evidence, but I've also heard in many lectures where they say Shiva wears the skull of Brahma, so many Brahmas, and if you say he doesn't become Ananta until after the next 100 Brahma years, but he's wearing so many Brahma's skulls.
So many Brahma skulls is not a right story.
Yeah,
it is probably the Guhya Bhasha. Shouldn't be taken. But he has Brahma Kapala in his hands. That is true.
That's because he breaks away one of the head, right?
Correct. He cuts off Brahma's 5th head, and that Kapala sticks to him, and that's why he becomes Kapali, and then and he has to be wear the bhasma and all of those things. And
I thought he was also wearing those Brahma Kapali. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So yes, Kapali, yes, but the skulls of Brahma, no. That is not probably. If it is a Purana story, it is a Guhya Bhasha.
Okay.
Not really the real thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so the Shesha that is shown at the beginning of creation, when Shesha himself is not created, that is Prakriti. Prakriti is the seed. Prakriti is there with Paramatma always, right? And even before every one of them is born. And then it is called as the Chaturvyuha or Chaturmurti. Chaturmurti, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Chaturmurti is born. Vishnu creates 4 forms of his: Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And from the Sankarshana Rupa with Prakriti, that is when Shesha comes. So that is called Adi Shesha. That is even before the births that he takes later on. That is the Adi Shesha, who is the bed of the Paramatma. Again, that being a bed of Vishnu is what drishti is it? Being a bed is that Amarchitra Katha? It is Jnana Gochara. It is in the Rishi Jnana Gochara. That means to the Rishis, not with the physical eyes. With the divine eyes, we'll see that in the next chapter. So with the divine eyes, they see that. Just like with the divine eyes, they saw a huge fish pulling the boat in the Matsyavatara, right? Like that. That's a divine eyes vision, and not a real, a bed being there and Vishnu sleeping on that and all of those things. That is the Jnana Gochara, Divya Drishti Jnana Gochara, or Antar Drishti Jnana Gochara of the Rishis. Okay, it's not Amarchitra Katha physical, is sleeping, there is a bed of snake. It is not in the physical realm. Vishnu is not in the physical realm. As you leave this loka and go to Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka, there is nothing physical there. Everything is light. And from Maharloka, Janoloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka, it is all consciousness. There is no element there. And then after you leave the Satyaloka and become the Mukta, in Mukti everything is awareness. Everything is consciousness. Like that, there is a school of thought that says the whole of the world is consciousness. That there is nothing which is inanimate. Everything is conscious. That is true not of the world, but that is true of the Mukti, not of this world. In Mukti, if you look at the Puranic descriptions of Mukti, and last time I was chanting that shloka, right? Anandan mandamanda dadati himarutaha, that shloka. So where is the wind coming? Wind is inanimate. Where is the animals coming? it says it's blowing the smell of the flowers, ever fresh, right? Manda Maruta. Where is that flowers? Everything is mukta. Flowers do not become, plants do not get mukti. So how are there plants, trees, animals in mukti? Trick question. Tell me.
It's just the imagination. It is the manas, is it?
No, no. No takers?
Ask the question again, Sunil.
No, no. In the
Yes.
description of mukti, there is a description of there being trees, wind blowing, manda maruta, the breeze that carries the fresh flower smell. There are a lot of animals. All of those things are there in the description.
Does
But
it
in
have
mukti,
any relation with you mentioned with Kamadhenu providing everything that you are desiring?
no. That is in Swarga.
And so this is
Swarga, yes. But I'm talking about mukti.
So is it in Vaikuntha, all these are conscious, and is it a description of Vaikuntha?
Yeah, that is more description of mukti. Again, Vaikuntha is not just the place. Mukti, you can be mukta and be on earth, which nobody will know where the muktas are on earth. So there are different kinds, Sayujya Mukti, Salokya Mukti. There are so many different kinds of muktis. Being in Vaikuntha is one kind of mukti. You can be anywhere in the universe or outside it. Right?
Hey, Sunil, I mean, I'm just, so everything is consciousness, everything is Brahman. And I'm just quoting what's the Yoga Vasishtha, a little bit, what I read. So everything is Brahman, and then there was some thought.
No, not Brahman. You're speaking like American. Brahman.
Brahman, okay, Brahman.
Brahman.
And then a thought arose in the Brahman, and then that's how the Brahma came about and all the creation. The creation was nothing but a thought. That was mentioned in that scripture.
No, correct.
Everything is just a thought, and everything that we see is not a reality, it's just a thought.
See, no tradition, including Shankara, quote Yoga Vasishtha. So the Yoga Vasishtha that is there is not real Yoga Vasishtha. There are so many books like that. Right? There is no quote by any of the commentators of Yoga Vasishtha. So when there is no quote like that, it is very difficult to take it as a real, genuine book of knowledge. Like I said, you should have Patha Shuddhi first, and then Artha Shuddhi. Which means first you have to know that the book you are reading is uncorrupted. To know that, you have to check the tradition to see who is quoted. Is that quoted verse in this book? The quotation, for how long has that quotation been? So that will establish, and are these quotes available only in the southern part of India? Is it available in the northern part of India? All of those things. So that will establish what is called as Patha Shuddhi. Patha Shuddhi means uncorrupted body of knowledge, just like Vedas. They're uncorrupted in the sense that what the Veda copy that you see anywhere in India is very, very much the same. All in terms of even accents, it's the same. Upanishads, the same. The major Upanishads. Of course, there are so many minor Upanishads. Everybody comes up with different Upanishads. But the major Upanishad, especially the 10 that the Acharyas have written commentaries on, it's the same Patha. Right? Brahma Sutras, there's a tradition, same Patha. The Purana, Bhagavata Purana, especially, there's a big tradition of Bhagavata Puranas. That is very less corruption, I should say. But then when you go to other Puranas, then you'll see many, many different versions, including Mahabharata. Mahabharata, so many versions, right? That Vivek Debray was saying that so many versions are there. And then you have to come up with a critical edition, comparing all these different versions to see which is the common shlokas, which one is not there, and which, all of those things, right? There's actually Mahabharata, there's a southern version of Mahabharata, and there's a northern version of Mahabharata. So many different stories, same stories have different, actual details. In one part, in the southern part, there's a different detail, and the northern has a different detail. So it is not, like I keep saying, it's not like just reading a book. Yeah, I know Yoga Vasishtha, so many people are very enthusiastic of quoting that. Unless I see a Patha Shuddhi, I don't accept it. Has Shankara quoted it? No. Has any of the Acharyas quoted Yoga Vasishtha? No. So then how do you know it's not a book written 300 years ago? Which in India, there are so many books written by so many people, right? So you have to be very careful, very careful. That is why stick to Veda, Upanishad, and the main Puranas, of which there is tradition, right? Unless you stick to that, it is difficult. There's so many works. So that this is always the standard, right? If you are in this class, you cannot be swayed away. I read that book, I read this book. Yeah, it is a novel. It's good read. Is it a philosophy? No, it's not a philosophy. Okay? It is good as a novel, not good as a philosophy. In a sadhana, first you have to establish the Patha Shuddhi. Is it uncorrupted body of knowledge? That is number one. How does it compare to the Veda and the Upanishads? Number two. So that is how you have to, that is why Veda Vyasa says, Tattu Samanvayat. You cannot study any text without doing Samanvaya. Samanvaya means all of the contradictions that arise, the conflicts that's there between texts. You have to harmonize that before you study the text. Unharmonized text is not worth reading. Right? So that is what first is Patha Shuddhi, that is getting the right text, uncorrupted text, or at least minimally corrupted text. And then getting the right meaning in the text. That's the Artha Shuddhi. So when the Artha Shuddhi is there, then the understanding will be Sattvic. When you start reading so many different things, they're saying so many different things, which will not be in line with what Brahma Sutra is saying or the Veda are saying, then Artha Shuddhi will not be there. So the understanding will be tamasic. Right? So that is very careful. Should be very careful. Not every text in India is the correct text. It is hard to take, understand that. That is the reality. There might have been Yoga Vasishtha, but what we have today, there is no proof that that's what it is. Right? Unless we establish the Patha Shuddhi, don't open the text.
It's similar to the peer-reviewed articles concept.
Exactly. Peer-reviewed articles.
So, I mean, this Yoga Vasishtha I'm quoting about, it's not I came up with this thing, but, the Art of Living Foundation, Ravi Shankar does endorse it. So I'm just saying that.
Yes, I know there was a course, and not just Art of Living, even many of them actually teach it, but these are not spiritual traditions. Do the traditions teach it? I don't think they teach it. But all of these other, people teach it. Yeah, maybe Sadhguru may also teach it. I don't know. But yeah, those kinds of people are teaching it. But the real traditions are not teaching it. They are sticking to Upanishads and Vedas and Puranas. Right? So even when you read it in line with what you already know through the Vedas and Puranas. If Yoga Vasishtha, when you read it, if it is telling something against what you've already read in Big Gita or the other texts, then what Yoga Vasishtha is saying is wrong. Because first of all, it is not a Prasthana Traya text. It is not Brahma Sutra. It is not the Upanishad. It is not the Gita. Right? So Prasthana Traya, every Acharya writes commentaries on these three to establish a tradition. Right? And so anything other than that, the rule of thumb is this in line with what there already exists? If it is in line with it, then yes, good. If it is going against it, then why go against Prasthana Traya and read a separate text because somebody is teaching it? So you have to take it with a ton of salt.
Sunil, does the same, or why is it maybe Ramayana also maybe not in that? Is it because it's a written book versus a revealed?
Which one?
like, is it the same what you just mentioned about Yoga Vasishtha? Is it the same with the Ramayana, or Ramayana actually has been quoted in many?
No, Ramayana is quoted. Again, Valmiki Ramayana is not considered a proof or in text. You don't see Valmiki Ramayana quoted by any of the acharyas, as far as I know.
See, this is part of Ramayana, right? Rama was asking questions to Vasishtha, and Vasishtha answers those questions.
No, those are stories. These they make the stories, and then there are so many things that come up. Uttara Ramayana is also a story, right? But it was written way later than all of those things that happened, right? So you have to be careful about that. Again, there is a text called Mula Ramayana, which is, of course, doesn't exist now. But if there might be some quotes from there. Even Valmiki Ramayana refers to an original work of Ramayana, from which it borrowed the story. But we don't have it today, right? So we have to be very careful as to which books is referred. And when you read something, is it in line with what, is it in line with what Gita is saying? Is it in line with what Upanishads say? Is it in line with the Vedas? That should be the scale or the measure of whether it is worth reading or not. Right? So that is how you get the Artha Shuddhi. So that is, the basic. When you pick up any book, this should go on in your head. Is this Pata Shuddhi? If it is Pata Shuddhi, awesome, because that means it's a good body of knowledge. Then the next thing is to figure out the meaning, right? Like, for example, Anand got the Mahabharata volume. So the Pata Shuddhi is there. There's a lot of, it's a critical edition. So they've compared the verses and all of those things. So Pata Shuddhi is there. The next thing is figuring out the meaning of it, right? Again, that is another big task. So, but if you don't know the work itself is genuine, figuring out the meaning is really, doesn't make any sense. Right? Is that clear?
Sunil, if when you say that Pata Shuddhi is there for Vivek Ji's Mahabharata, the source of Mahabharata is one, right? The source or the truth of Mahabharata.
This is not, we are talking about thousands of years, right?
Right.
So when it was transmitted, it was not written. It is spoken.
It is walk. Okay.
Walk, right?
Yeah.
So it is a Shruti kind of tradition.
Correct.
Of course, it's a Smriti, but Shruti in the sense that it is heard and then
written.
No, not written. Written later on.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it spreads like that throughout the India. Like they're different. Suta is the one who's responsible for that, right? So he's like, if any story, any book that you read, it will start with, he went to Naimisharanya and the rishis asked him something, and then he starts telling the story, right? This is how the story is spread. The keepers are families. These families' only job was to keep this story for generations and generations. And that's how it spread across the country. But when it spreads across the country, there's no printing press. So Pata Shuddhi, as the time progresses, as well as the distance, corruptions creep in, right? And then when the writing started, how did writing start? It's after one generation they had to rewrite it, right? There were all these scribes. So when you have a scribe, there is bound to be a lot of mistakes. A scribe might add his own ideas. He might not like something, so he might remove that shloka. He might like something else, he might add that shloka. So different people coming and doing these things over time will create a very varied body of knowledge.
Right.
Then what happens? One version of the Mahabharata is different from another version of Mahabharata. So what do? You go collect different versions from different parts of the country, and then you compare the shlokas. If the shlokas are common, most probably that was there in the original. Because in two different parts of the country, there is the same shloka. That means it's part of the original. If you find it in one and not in the other, then most probably it is kind of a corruption, something added from some other work or something like that.
So Neil, even the Vedas are not considered by one person, right? They're created by different people and added over the course of time. So what's wrong in somebody adding it later on,
No, I'm talking about not adding. I'm talking about the version available. Is it a single version? If you go to Veda, Agni Mihile Purohitam, that is there in South India, North India, East India, West India, everywhere, including the accent. It is preserved like a tape recorder recording. Pata Shuddhi is already there, built into the Veda. The methods of memorizing make sure that it is saved and it is memorized like a tape recorder recording. So there is no question of Pata Shuddhi of the Veda, because every version you find in the whole of the country will be the same. But then as you go to Aranyakas and all that, there are certain different versions of it. But they're all again considered Shuddha Pata because those versions remain the same. Right? So, but then you come to Puranas, then there is no Pata Shuddhi. Very difficult. Then you have to figure out, okay, is this shloka in the South Indian version? In the South India itself, there will be 100 versions. Which one has it? So it is a huge job. I mean, it's not done. It's a huge job to attempt it. And that's what, Vedavyasa did. I mean, at the time of Vedavyasa, the job of Vedavyasa and his Shishyas was to get the Pata Shuddhi of the work that was available all over India at his time. And that's what he did. And then that is how his Shishyas transmitted it. But then as time progresses, people, the tradition is destroyed. People move on to do different things. And then what we have today is what we have. Good?
That was extremely interesting. Thank you, Sunil.
Yeah. The Vedas should be read like this. And I keep telling this, and I don't know why it has not registered. Patha Shuddhi is number one. Any work, it might be anybody teaching it. Does it have Patha Shuddhi? Has Shankara quoted any verse from that work? Has Ramanuja quoted it? Has anybody before him quoted it? Then you will know, okay, such a work existed. Otherwise, how do you know the Pata Shuddhi? It is very difficult. So first, before Artha, before reading it and trying to see, what is this saying, see that it's a genuine work. That it is and has Shuddha Pata first. Right? Okay, coming back to this. I think it all started with moksha. Right? So the question was, the description of moksha where there's trees and all of these, wind and all of those things. How did it? Everything is Chetana there. Everything is Chetana. Right? But the problem is, the snake, how will snake get mukti? There is no mukti for animal other than man. Of course, after man and above, right? Man and the devas and all that. Below man, there is no mukti. Trees, no mukti for trees. Where is the buddhi? Where is the sadhana? Antakarana should be there for sadhana. Then what happens?
So mukti, there is no prakriti around the...
No. What I'm saying is, if there is a mukta snake, but as a snake, in this world, there is no chance of sadhana. How did a snake get mukti?
Are those your desires that you realized and you became a mukti? You visualize them in the...
No. See, all of them, they get mukti only as human beings. And of course, above. And then after mukti, they get to that form. Right? So that snake is not stuck in the snake form. It's mukti. You can change the form. This is swachanda. That means you can choose, like you can choose to turn into a bird. And there is no one eka rupa. You can have any rupa. Right? So that is what it is. It is not that snake will get mukti or a tree will get mukti. No, right? So when the muktas, like for example, the Puranas that will talk about, you have these people who live for a long time, thousands of years, but they will be living as a tree, an old tree somewhere in the Himalayas. But it is actually a rishi meditating in that form, right? So they will not be sitting there in the human form. They'll be meditating in the form of a tree, an old tree, right?
So Sunil, so does God, Devas does not get mukti, or do they get mukti?
No, they must get mukti.
But I thought you said only human form.
No,
You
I
have
said
to be in a-
human and above. Human and
Okay,
above.
above. Okay.
So Sunil, the whole purpose of this Jiva cycle is to get mukti, right? Once you get mukti, why would you want to take another form?
No, that form is not this body form. It's not prakriti form.
No, it is not. It is.
Yeah, Chetana has a form. Chetana has a form. That is called as Jnana Rupa. Don't think of physical form.
right.
Jnana Rupa. It is all, again, it is, we can only imagine. We don't know what that means, right? Paramatma is here around us in the Jnana Rupa. We don't know what that is. It is not made of Panchabhutas. That means it's not any physical form, but it is a presence and it's an awareness. And it's a form of awareness.
So is that the purpose of the mukti, that a mukti, or a soul which gets mukti? Is that the purpose, to create awareness, to
What
bring
do you
up?
mean? No, Jiva is awareness. Chit. What do you mean by create awareness? I didn't understand.
No. So when you say mukti, so let's say a jiva gets mukti, right?
Right.
Right. So then once you get mukti, then what happens? Do you take the form or do you not take the form? Or
No. The Chetana itself is a form.
right.
And you can change the form. So it is not something that we can understand in the way we see. I mean, this is beyond our grasp, because we said Jnana Rupa. We don't know what Jnana Rupa is. Everything is Chetana. The wind is Chetana, means how, what is that? It is a Chetana wind. It's a wind of consciousness blowing with the smell of consciousness smelling. We don't know what that means. But Mukti is like that. It's all Chetana. There is no Jada there.
So you attain ethereal form. Basically, there is no physical form.
There is no
mukti,
physical
right?
form. Yes.
Yeah.
All physical forms are left back in the cycle of birth and death. That's it. You get out of the grasp of Prakriti, get out of that. It is all pure Chetana, pure knowing.
Because you got rid of
There's
all vasanas, you don't have to take a birth again. Basically, you just.
There is no birth. There is nothing. Exactly. Okay. Is this understood? I told very one important thing. What is it?
Pata Shuddhi.
Pata Shuddhi is number one criteria. Pata Shuddhi. Yep. I don't care who is telling this or who is teaching it. Pata Shuddhi, is Pata Shuddhi there or not? That is very important. And that is why you have to come back to the tradition of Vedanta. Who has quoted it? Has Shankara quoted it? What are the names of the works that Shankara has quoted? Because that is 1200 years back, right? And before him, what are the quotes? By Purva Mimamsas, the works in Purva Mimamsa. What are the things that they have quoted? Those are the works. And is that work? That means that work was there at some point. Is that work available now? Has anybody else quoted that? That is how you establish the Pata Shuddhi. And that is the reason why people are reading so many different books and it is getting confusing and getting all these bad ideas about Vedanta. When Veda Vyasa has made sure that the right thing is already there. He's given, spoon-fed it in the Brahma Sutra. But then, it is very interesting to read some book and we'll go read and it'll give you some bad idea. And that's how we go into all of these different ways. Very important to stick to Pata Shuddhi. once you have the Pata Shuddhi, to get the right Artha Shuddhi through Samanvaya, and then you will have the right meaning. So there is no chance of misunderstanding and all of those things. Okay. So, I think we were in Shesha, Ananta, right? So his avataras, Balarama, Lakshmana, Nara Narayana, the sage Nara, Rishi Nara, and then Nara Avesha in Arjuna. Arjuna has Nara Amsha or Avesha. And then he's Sankarshana, in the sense that he's the Lord of gravity. Sankarshana Shakti, Akarshana Shakti, right? Karshana or Krishna means attractive. See, that's the thing. If you go back, black is beautiful in the ancient times. Krishna means black. Krishna also means attractive. Karshanat Krishna, that he who is attractive. And if you look at the Mahabharata times, the most beautiful is Krishna. The most beautiful woman is also Krishna, Draupadi. Her name was Krishna. Draupadi means Drupada's daughter. That's not her name. Her actual name is Krishna. Krishna means female. So she is also dark. Krishna is also dark. And dark means beautiful. So our this thing has changed quite a bit over time. So at that time, darker skin tone is considered more beautiful, more attractive.
So why did it change now? I mean, I know darkness was beautiful. Why did it evolve to change to that?
It's not evolved, it is devolved.
No, I'm saying now we have fair and lovely creams and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's what I said, devolved. If you look at, see, Pandu Raja, right? Pandu means what? Pale white. So white is considered pale.
He has albinism. He's got albinism, right? He didn't have pigmentation.
Correct.
Yeah.
So he's considered pale and considered not good. So the more fairer or white you are, you're considered pale and not really good skin tone. The darker you are more beautiful skin tone. So that is the thing. Okay. So that is Shesha, right? Anantaschasmi Naganam, and then Varuno Yadasamaham. So among the Yadas means the sea creatures. I am the king of the sea or the king of the ocean. And I am the Varuna. Again, I told you about Varuna being Kashyapa and Aditi Putra. And Varuna is also the midnight or the night sun, in the sense of the sun that is hidden in the other side, on the other side of the world. So it's the hidden sun. If you look at the Veda mantras, there are a lot of mantras that have the deity Mitra Varuna. Mitra is the day sun, Varuna is the night sun. So that is Varuna. Pashahasta, Makaravahana, Chhatradhara. Chhatra is the umbrella that. What is that?
Yeah. Is it only the night sun is called Mitravarna, or the sun behind clouds also is called Mitravarna?
No, the night sun is called Varuna.
Okay.
Mitra Varuna means day sun, night sun.
Oh, okay. But not the sun behind the clouds.
Not the sun behind the clouds, no.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that's all those things that Dig Devata. And why is Varuna called Asura? We went in a lot of detail about Asura, what is Asura and all of those things. Okay. So now Aryamas-chasmi Pitrunam. Okay, now let's come to this. Who are Pitru Devatas? There is a very big misunderstanding, and even in my own very family and also in a lot of close friends, Pitrus means your own forefathers. It is not your forefathers. It is not your grandparents and their grandparents. They are not Pitrus. Number one, put this in your mind. Your grandfather and great-grandfather and great-grandfather, they are not the Pitrus.
So the Devatas, right?
Pitrus are the Devatas. Now, who are these Pitru Devatas? See, an example is day and night, right? So, our day, who is guiding us during the day? The sun is guiding us during the day, right? So, because without the sun, We cannot go around and do our things. Who is guiding the night? Chandra and Agni are guiding the night, right? So there are only three lights: Surya, Chandra, Agni, right? Every artificial light is Agni. Okay, so Chandra and Agni is guiding the night. The same way that living are guided by the devatas from Indra downwards. They are called the Tattvabhimani devatas. From Indra downwards are the ones that guide the living. We always interact with them. They are the lords of our sense organs in the Adhyatma. Our eyes are ruled by Surya, our nose by Ashwini Kumaras, Chandra rules the ears, Agni rules the speech, Indra rules the hands. Like that. All of our sense organs and organs of actions are ruled by devatas. So devatas are in every day 24/7 constantly interacting with us in the Adhyatma, because we are using our voice to speak, using our eyes to see. So always all of these devatas are interacting us, making these functions happen. Okay. Now the same thing is in the Adhibhautika domain. The wind is blowing, so that's the Vayu, right? There is the sun, the Surya, all a Chandra is there. All of these and the rain, water, all these devatas are in the Adhibhautika domain and the Adhidaivika domain. In all the three domains, they are constantly in contact with us, providing us with things, and also taking the things that we offer. So devatas and manushyas, of course, even animals, but devatas and humans, they're constantly interacting with each other in the Adhyatma domain, in the Adhibhautika domain, in the Adhidaivika domain. Okay, so devatas are the guiding deities of the living, just like the sun is the guiding light of the day. Okay, they are the gods of the day. Div also means day, right? Light. Now, what happens when somebody dies? Who guides them? The devatas don't guide them, right? So these the devatas that rule the living don't guide them. Who guides them? This is another set of devatas that guide the dead. They are called Pitru devatas. Right? Again, just like the living, the dead also needs to be taken, done different things. So these are the devatas that rule them, and then also that provide the things that are needed for the dead. So that is the difference between Pitru Gana, Pitru devatas, and Devagana or devatas. Okay, one rule the living. Devatas rule the living. Pitrus rule the dead. This is a very basic knowledge. So never ever should you say Pitrus are my grandfather and great grandfather, those who have passed away. They are not, Pitrus are not those who have passed away in your family. No, they are not. They would have been reborn, all of those things. Pitrus are the deities that help and guide the dead. Okay. And so again, this is because I've heard this in my family, the annual ceremony, right? I will not go and explain what I've already done in the 8th chapter. What happens after death, the Angushta Sharira, Vayu Sharira, and then it goes and then quickly come back after, Yamadarshana. And then the next 10 days, a new body is formed, right? And then 11th and 12th day is when it gets hunger and thirst. And then the 13th day is when the journey starts. It's a 1-year journey. The journey starts to whichever loka that it has to go and all of those things, right? And then the 1-year anniversary, right? The 1-year anniversary, death anniversary that's done, that marks the going away of the dead from all of the bandhanas with the living. That's it, they're gone. Okay, that means they have whatever gati that they are going to get, they will go and get that gati. Whether it's durgati, sadgati, whatever gati it is, they are going to get that gati. Okay. Then what will happen? There is an annual, anniversary, death anniversary. Every year, death anniversary is performed to the dead, the grandparents or their grandparents and all of those things. So then what is that? They're already gone now. They might have finished that Swarga, Narka, or whatever it is, and then are born back again in whichever form they are. So then what is the use of doing that death ceremony during the second year or the third year or the 10th year?
That is for the Pitru Devata.
See, Karthik, Jnana. It's the Pitru Devatas that you're doing this ceremony for. Right? Of course, even all the death ceremonies are done to Pitru Devatas, but you're telling Pitru Devatas in the journey that they are taking, help them with the hurdles and obstacles. You say that in the mantras only in the first year. Second year and later on, there is no journey, right? So that means when you're doing the anniversary, the ceremony of annual ceremony after the first year, you are doing the worship of the Pitru Devatas and telling them wherever they are reborn or whatever in there, let them get this tarpana, right? So that is your side. It means you're offering that, making sure if they are born as something else, as a bird, that bird gets its insect. So when you throw the pinda during the ceremony here, that transforms into a insect. That pinda doesn't transform, but that thing generates an insect that the bird goes and gets the food. So you're saying, let my forefathers who are now reborn, let them trupti. Tarpana means trupti, satisfied. Let them get food. So you're taking care of your forefathers even after they are born. But you are not taking care. You're telling the Pitru Devatas, please make sure that they get the food, they get the protection. Right? You put the Pinda Udaka here, they get the insect or whatever form, yoni in which they are, that food they get.
So how many days after death they actually go to the lokas?
After the 13th day.
13th, okay.
Yeah.
After
Okay.
the day, the journey starts, right?
Yeah, that is when they go. Yes.
1 year later, they go to the lokas, right?
The residence, correct. Oh, yeah, correct. Yeah. So Krishna, after the 13th day, the journey begins. That's why I said go, but the journey begins. But the residence in that loka is after 1 year. The 1 year ceremony is to mark the residence in whichever loka that they are going to go. And of course, in between the paths, there are different lokas, that comes about. But this is what it is. The concept is that.
So they just stay in the loka only for 1 year? The Swarga loka, Naraka loka, whatever it is?
No. That depends on their punya. After 1 year of death is when they actually go to the Swarga loka or Naraka loka or whichever loka is after 1 year.
Actually, Garuda Purana describes the 6-month journey, what happens in the first 6 months, then next 3.
The Garuda Purana is describing which path?
Narkaloka.
This one, Adhoyana.
Adhoyana, Narkaloka.
That is the one. Not the Pitruyana.
No, not the Pitruyana, but it does describe the first 6 months of the journey.
That is why it is
based on your karma, how difficult.
Not all deaths and the journey after death is going to be like that. It's a bad person. What he does is what happens to him is what is described in Garuda Purana.
Right.
So yeah.
So the first year anniversary is basically for the dead person.
Yeah, first year anniversary is the dead person's residence into the loka in which they are going to go.
So you're celebrating that basically for them going to Narakaloka also?
We don't know whether you have to celebrate or not. We don't
No,
know
but
what.
that's why it is considered that first anniversary is the most important one. Afterwards,
First anniversary is the most important.
it's different, but first
Yes.
one should be the one that you need to.
Yes, because after that, the connection is completely cut off.
Completely gone.
See, after the 13th day, the connection is really gone fully. But until the first year, some connection is there. You know, the dead might come in your dream and say something and all of those things until the first year. But after the first year, completely cut off. You are no longer any relative. That's it. There's no relation.
That's why for these events, there is no invitation. There is only information. This event is happening. You know, only people show up. There is no invitation. You cannot invite people to these events. That's why. You know.
Which events? What are you talking
These,
about?
you know, Shraddha events. There is no invitation was sent to relatives. Only information was given.
Yeah.
It's not
So, but 1 year is very important. Okay, 1 year is very important because that marks the completion of the journey. That marks the completion of the journey and the whichever gati that person gets. But again, after that, every year that ceremony is done, you are feeding offering the offerings to the Pitru devatas, offering and then requesting them that whichever gati that they are in now, the departed ones, they might be reborn in whatever state they are in, let them get this pindodaka, as in their food. What you put here as pindodaka will in them generate, if they are birds, some insects, or if they are animals, some other food that they get. Right? So that's a great connection. That means even though they are departed and no longer in any relation with us, still there is a connection through this anniversaries, death anniversaries that we do to offer to the Pitru devatas.
Okay. Is there a male-female difference, Sunil? Do I need to do only for my fathers, not mother?
No. It's grandparents.
Okay.
Yeah,
so there is no male-female difference. Let's say my mom is not there and then my dad is there. So I can just do only for my mom's.
No. Your dad will do. Why should you do? You should participate.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if he cannot, then yeah, of course, for him you will do.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay, so it's fascinating, right? I mean,
Sunil, there is a question on the chat.
Hold. You can ask Karthik. You can turn on your mic. Oh, I think you said you had a problem with that. How do you determine the first year anniversary date? It's the Tithi. That's why it's called Tithi. The Tithi. Whatever Tithi, you can go to the Puran.
For saints and all, it's called Punya Tithi.
Right? Punya Tithi, right? The Tithi means the date.
Right.
So that is how you'll know. Same Tithi the next year. Same Tithi the next lunar year. Or lunisolar year. That is how you figure it out. Okay, I think we have taken a lot of time without even getting into this. So let me... Where is it? Aryama. Who is this Aryama? One good thing, Aryama is mentioned as a Pitru Devata only in the Bhagavad Gita and probably in Devi Bhagavata or something. Aryama is otherwise there is no mention of Aryama as a Pitru Devata. Aryama is already an Aditya, right? So if you look at this one, okay, where is it? Aryama is the Aditya. Is the Lord of the Vrikshaba Rashi, right? He is the sun or the presiding deity of the sun from May 14th to June. The May to June sun before that Sankramana, that is ruled by Aryama. And also if you look at that, he is the Nakshatra. If you look at here, he is the Nakshatra Devata of Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. Sorry, Aryama is the Devata of the Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. So if you look at the Simha Rashi starts with Makha Nakshatra, ruled by the Pitru Devatas, then Bhaga rules it, and then Aryama rules it. So kind of Simha Rashi and Pitrus have some kind of a link there. Okay, so Aryama is both an Aditya. See, that means he is responsible for the governing or the governance of the living, but he is also the Pitru Devata. So he is also the king of the dead as well, right? So there are two kings of the dead. So without Bhagavad Gita, we would not have known this. So king of the dead is Yama, right? But Bhagavad Gita introduces this Aryama as the actual king of the dead. So the dead actually go to the Aryama, and from Aryama, the Adhogati people go to Yama, who is the king of the dead, who are going to get Adhogati. The Urdhogati go from Aryama onwards on their journey, right? So that is, without Bhagavad Gita, we would never have figured that out. That Aryama was actually also a Pitru Devata. Okay, so let's see here. Rudras, Marut, Vishvedeva, Pitrugana, right? Look at this Pitrugana. Soma, who are the Pitru Devatas? Moon is the Pitru Devata. Okay. Yama, of course, Pitru Devata, and the king of the dead, in the sense that those who get Adhogati. Agnistat, he is the Pitru Devatas of the Devatas. See, even the Devatas have a Pitru for their journey. Kavyavaha. So Kavyavaha is the fire of the dead. Right? He's the fire. Like, when you say Swaha, the Agni is taking them. Havyavahana. That is, Agni is taking to the Devas. But when you do Swadha to the dead, then Kavyavaha takes that offerings of Pindodaka and then takes it to the Pitrus. Okay. And then Aryama, the king of the Pitrus. Anala. And then Barhishadakya is the Pitrus of the Daityas, Danavas, Yakshas, and all of those bad. Even when they are dead, they are governed by Barhishadakya. Okay. Somasadhya. So these are the main deities. So these are the 7 main deities of the Pitruganas. Then they are the groups. They are the Somasadhyas, that are the Pitrus of the Sadhyas. Somapa group, they are for the Brahmana, for the those who have knowledge. These are minor. Like if you say these are major, these are minor Pitru Devatas. Those who are involved in the vocation of knowledge. Havir book. Oh, it's not Havir hook. It is Havir book. Havir book is for those who die fighting. Pitru. They are responsible for that. Ajapa, the group for those who are in business or production, and then those who are in the labor. Sukalika or Sukalika, actually Sukalika is for them. So these are minor groups of deities. It's not the name of one. It's a name of the group, Gana itself. This is a Gana within a Gana. The major one are these 8. So these are the 8. And Krishna says among these, these 7, among these 7, Aryama is the king. Okay. Now, to understand that, we have to go to the yanas. Okay, it might not be here. It might be here. So as you have seen, Narakalokas, will come to that. Path of the dead, right? I said, what are the different paths of the dead? There are 4 different paths of the dead, right? 2 is always mentioned usually mentioned in all of the Vedanta's texts, including the Upanishad. Gita also talks about 2 paths. Usually, just like the Puranas will not talk about Asuras, in detail. They only talk about devas in detail. It is not something worth knowing. So all of the works of the Vedanta, they ignore the details of the unless, you know, like if you go to Garuda Purana and all of those things, that will specifically for that. When it wants to talk about that which you really don't talk about. Otherwise, if you go to, you know, the Bhagavata or any of the other Puranas, it only talks about the living and the good. There's no obsession about bad and what are those and all of those things. The same way, all of these works, when it talks about Devayana, Pitruyana, because those are the two paths of the good. Okay, the two paths of the good. But if you go to the Brahma Sutras, it will show you there are 4 paths. That actually 4 paths are there. And then I'll actually show you the Brahma Sutra Bhashya when it comes to this. But let's go to this. What are the 4 paths? Devayana. This is when a Jnani dies. A Jnani dies, his jiva leaves the hridaya, the heart, through the Sushumna Nadi. Right? And it is said that everything is light for them. For the Jnanis, everything is light. That means the whole a tunnel, right? You have a feeling of a tunnel when you are coming out of Nadi. It will all be fully lit up. Everything will be lit up. And then when it comes out of the tunnel, then the devatas, different devatas will take them to the different devata lokas. I will tell you about that. And then finally they go to enter the urdhva lokas, including the satya loka. And then when Brahma himself becomes mukta, all of the mukta ganas also become mukta. So there is mukti only happens through the devayana path. When the atma or the jiva escapes through the Sahasrara chakra, where the Sushumna Nadi ends here. Sushumna Nadi that starts in the Mooladhara ends in the Sahasrara. Sahasrara, actually the chakra of the Sahasrara is 6 inches above. It is 1 angula above. Right? It's above, on top of the body. The chakra is not actually on the body, but then the door, the dwara is on the skull. Right? The Sahasrara door is on the skull. That will break open and the Sushumna Nadi, from the Sushumna Nadi, the Jnani comes out. And when he comes out, the description says that everything is light. That means the Atma, Jiva is seeing everything in light. The Devatas will come and take them to different lokas and all of those things. So since we are in the topic, let's see the path. We have already seen this in the 8th chapter, but I'll just go. In the 8th chapter, Krishna says, Agnihi, Ahi, Jyotihi, which is what I call here Archis, because Archish is what is used in the Upanishads. Agnir, Jyotir, Ahaha, and Shanmasa, Uttarayana, and all of those. Krishna says that in the 8th chapter. That is, so first, Agni here is Agniputra. So when the Jnani dies, first Devata that, invite them to their loka is the Agniputras. So they go to the Agni loka, then the Archish loka, and then they go to the Ahar loka, Purnima loka. So these are all different lokas of light. See, all of these are full light, right? And these are all the deities of light. These are not, these are not the time of death. There is no concept of time of death leading to, you can die anytime. Okay, a Jnani can die anytime. I think the misunderstanding started with Bhishma because he stopped until he was there until the Uttarayana. But Bhishma became Vasu. He didn't become Mukta. He got his original form back, right? He went back. So the path is like all of these. These are lokas. He goes to Agni Loka, Archish Loka, Ahar Loka, and then Shukla Paksha Loka, and then Shanmasa, Uttarayana Loka, Vishu Loka. Right? So this equinox, the gods of equinox. So Vishu means equinox. Okay. So then they finally go to Surya Loka. And from Surya Loka to all the Urdhva Lokas. Satya Loka or whatever Loka that their residence is, right? This is a path, it's called Anavrittihi. Anavrittipata means no coming back. There is no avritti. There is no repetition. There is no coming back. Right? When somebody goes through this path, it's Agni, Archish, Aha, Purnima, Shukla Bhaksha, and all of those, that path ruled by these deities, it is a path of light and it's a path of no return. There is no return if you go in this path. Okay.
Why have you put Archish and Abhijit in the same square?
No, these are the same these are these Upalokas. Archish Loka and then Abhijit Loka and then Ahar Loka and Purnima Loka.
Okay, no, I just was trying to see why you have put them in different. One is in number 2. You have put 3 items. Is it?
No, I know it's all of these are different lokas. It's not they are different lokas. I've just Archish and I should have put Abhijit with Ahar Loka because it actually comes with Ahar Loka. See, Ahar means day. Abhijit is one part of day, the 12 p.m. Right, that Abhijit Muhurta. So there is a deity of Abhijit Muhurta. So it actually comes with Ahar, not with Archish. Actually, Agnir Jyot, I have to redo this. Agnir Jyotish, and then Ahar Abhijit, Ahar, Purnima Shukla Bhaksha, and then Uttarayana, Shanmasa Uttarayana, and Vishu. These are different lokas of the devatas of the different lokas. So this is the path of the one that will not return again. Starts with a Sushumna Nadi, right? The Atma goes away from through the Sushumna Nadi. Everything is light. Everything is light. Everything is visible.
So Sunil, for this, Aryama is the Pitru Devata. For this path, overall, all lokas.
No, Pitru, he is the king for all of them. But those who get Adhogati or Tiryagati, from there, of course, Tiryagati that means then you don't even go through any of the paths. Like after your death, after the 13th day, you're again born in the same world as a cow or a dog. That's it. There's no going up or going down. Tiryak means side to side. So that means there's no up down. There's only side. They die here. They're born again in some other yoni in the same loka, bhuloka.
So does that mean all animals that are called Tiryaks never get born as humans?
No. You can have adhogati, and after finishing all of those things, come be born as animal. Okay. So this is the Devayana path. Okay, the path of no return. This is the path of no return. When you go through this path, a jnani goes through this path. They will come to celebrate it, invite you to their lokas, and then take from one loka to the higher loka to the higher loka to the finally you go to the Urdhva lokas, Satya loka, which is beyond the universe. All of those are beyond the Bhurbhuvasvaha is what the universe is. They go beyond the universe, the known universe. Okay. Then what is the second path? The Pitruyana. So this is the dark path. Okay. The dark path is not Adhogati. It is called the dark path because the deities of darkness are the ones who invite you and take you as the guides in the path. There is darkness also. Just like a jnani who saw everything, everything was visible and he could go. It is not like this here. They need to be guided. That means this is where people see a dark tunnel that they are going, forever until they emerge out. Not through Sushumna Nadi, but some Nadi. The prana might go through the eyes, it will be all above the navel, Urdhvagati. Okay, so this is the path that leads to Swargaloka. This is the path that leads to Swargaloka. Swargaloka is not one. Swargaloka can be any of the, Varuna Loka is also Swargaloka. Chandra Loka is also Swargaloka. So Swargaloka is a collective term for collection of different lokas of different deities. It's called Swargaloka. Okay. So in that one, the deity of the Dhuma, the deity of the Ratri, the deity of the Krishna Paksha and Amavasya, that will be there. The 6 months of Dakshinayana and that will be there, and the Dakshinayana Adhipati Devata will be there. Okay, and then finally it goes to Chandraloka, and from there whichever loka, if they have a viragat, like they die fighting for something good, then they have a separate loka for them, like that. So this is the loka where there is avritti. That means you go enjoy in the Swarga loka, and then you're pushed back and come down, right? The path. We've, Panchagni Vidya. Remember the Panchagni Vidya? The Panchagni Vidya, the path up in the Panchagni Vidya is the Pitruyana. Right? Do you remember that, the path 1, where, it goes, and then it goes to upper loka, and then once they Kshine Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti, like what Krishna says. Once your Punya is Kshina, it's come down, then they say, your thing is over, sir, please go. And then you're born through the rain, you fall down, and then, get into plants, and then some male, whether it's a monkey or a human, some male will eat it. And then you go first into the male's body, and then from the male, you go to the female's body. That is where you're born. That's the Panchagni Vidya, right? I said remember the 5 Agnis and all that? Yeah. So the path up is the Pitruyana in the Panchagni Vidya. Okay. Then Tiryakyana is nothing. It's just side to side. That means you're dead here, and then after some time, you are born as another animal or something. That is a Tiryakyana. Then Adhoyana. Actually, Adhoyana is not really a name. I just gave the name Adhoyana because but it's a path that is never. It's not named. Sometimes it's called Samyamane, Yamapuri. It is going to Yama. So that is the travel downwards. None of the texts talk about that, other than Garuda Purana or some Puranas like that, which talk about where there is a lot of yatana. Right? The yatana sharira is what you have after the 13th day. That yatana sharira is the one that experiences dukkha, for the adho narakas. Okay. So at this point, because it's next one is Yama and it combines. So now we are going to start talking about Yama. I'll tell you the stories of the Yama. But since we are talking about the Adhoyana, we'll start with that, and then once that is done, then we come down to Yama. Okay. So now, what is this Adhoyana? Okay. I want to share with you this is Brahma Sutra, right? Let's see the Brahma Sutra. You see it? Okay. So this is the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. This is a 13th century work. Okay, by Trivikrama Pandita. It's called Pradipika. 13th century, written in the 13th century. And this is in the Brahma Sutra. See, Adhyaya 3, right? You can see that on top there. So this is the 3rd chapter of the Brahma Sutra. Is called as the sadhana. It is about sadhana. How to do the sadhana, what you have to do. First, there's 4 chapters in every Adhyaya. The first chapter of sadhana Adhyaya is called as Vairagya Adhyaya. That means first, for sadhana, what is the first requirement? Is to have Vairagya. If you are into this world fully, then there is no chance of sadhana, right? You need to get Vairagya, the Viraga, the desire, the meaning. You need to first understand the meaninglessness of the world. If it doesn't hit you, there's no sadhana possible. So like, if you look at the story of Purandaradasa, that I can think of that one. That at one point of time he was he was a jeweler, and suddenly vairagya hit him. There was, it's all meaning. What am I doing in life? It's all meaningless. And suddenly complete vairagya. Everything shifted. Right? That is the vairagya he's talking. And in the vairagya, the first thing they talk about is adogati. And that is the reason why the Garuda Purana, Garuda Purana is chanted, or the stories told during that 13 days, is to give vairagya. So, that it's a point where everybody is there. There is dukkha. The meaninglessness of the world can be kind of taught more easily in those 13 days than when you are, celebrating and enjoying and partying. If I tell you Garuda Purana, you're like, go away, right? But the situation and the psychological makeup that, we have during that time is very conducive to understand vairagya. So that is why they teach, they have this Garuda Purana for those 13 days where they come in. Of course, not everybody has it now, but it is very good to have, because it will teach you the meaninglessness of existence. Unless you're looking at a higher goal of life. If you are every day earning and spending and enjoying, it is basically meaningless, right? That is what the cycle is. Cycle is meaningless because there's no beginning, there's no end. So that which has no end is not meaningful, right? So that is so within that first chapter, in the couple of adhikaranas, there is when the Brahma Sutra is teaching about vairagya, it teaches about what happens after death. And it teaches about adhogati. And this sutra is there, beautiful sutra. It's called Api Sapta, Om Api Sapta Om. What can you tell, Api Sapta? And then this is the commentary. See, I will have to tell you this because these are beauty. This is 13th century work, Tattva Pradipika, amazing work. He quotes the commentary on this. He says, Rauravota Mahams Chaiva. So Raurava, Maharaurava, right? Vaknihi, Vaitarani Tatha, Vakni Naraka, Vaitarani Naraka, Kumbhipaka, Iti Prokta, Anya Nitya Narakanitu, Tamisrascha Andhatamisra, Dvau Nityau, Prakirtitau, Iti Sapta Pradhanani, Baliyastu Uttarottaram, Yetani Kramasho Gatvaiva, Aroho Athavarohana, Iti Cha Bharate. Iti Cha Bharate means it is quoted from Mahabharata. So this is a verse from Mahabharata. Iti Cha Bharate. This is how they quote when they are quoting from texts. So now you know, as a 13th century work has quoted this verse from Mahabharata. Does your copy of it have this verse? Right? That's how you have to see the quotations and all of those things. It's a big work for to get the Pata Shuddhi. Okay. Now what he's saying, what Mahabharata says here, Raurava Naraka, Maharaurava, Mahamschaiva means Maharaurava, Vakni Naraka, Vaitarani Naraka, Kumbhipaka Naraka. These are Anitya Narakas. These are 5 Narakas. You go, suffer, you come back. And then there are 2 Nitya Narakas. Tamisrascha Andhatamisro, Dvau Nityau Samprakirtitau. 2 are famous as permanent. What are those? Tamisra, Andhatamisra. Or you can say Tamas and Andhantamas. Remember Ishavasya Upanishad? Andhantama pravishanti ye avidyam upasate. Right? Do you remember I always quote that. Bhuya iva e tamo, bhuya iva tamo ya u vidyamrataha. That mantra from Ishavasya Upanishad, that Andhantamas is this Andhatamisra of Mahabharata. Iti sapta pradhanani. There are 7 main narakas, thousands of narakalokas. There are thousands of narakalokas, 7 are main. Of the 7, 2 are the permanent. 5 main are impermanent. Okay. If you look at works like, I think Garuda Purana has the list. Bhagavata has some list of the Narakalokas. I kind of gathered some from Garuda Purana. We will go through the list. Interesting list. Okay. Iti Saptavadikaranam. So I will tell you each verse here. Beautiful. So while saying this, he says, Panchakaste tu tadeva dukkham sada bhavati. This is Tattva Pradipika talking. Okay. Panchendriyani pratyapi. Okay. Let me see if I can move all the things up.
Is it saying that out of the 7, 5 are the worst?
No. They're saying, it's saying out of the 7, 5 are impermanent, 2 are permanent.
Oh, okay.
The permanent is the worst. 2 is the worst because there's no coming back. Panchendriyani pratyapi kastam panchakastam. There is a concept called panchakasta. There is a concept called panchakasta. So he's saying dukkha saha shabda sparsha rupa rasa gandha nityayatanam panchebhyo rauravadibhyah kastam tu tvadva panchakastamiti. There are 2 kinds of panchakasta. That means the kasta that one has in narakas through the 5 sense organs are called panchakastas. That means what is the first kasta? Through the ears, loud noise, piercing the ears, so loud that your ear pains. Again, that is Sukshma Sharira ear, not the physical ear, right? That is one kasta. Then touch, that means extreme heat, extreme cold. That is the second kasta for the Tvagindriya. Extreme light that pains, that the eye cannot open. That is the third kasta of the Panchendriya. Fourth one is worst taste. Kind of spicy that you cannot take in, it just burns. That is the Rasa kasta, right? What does he say? Dukkha saha shabda sparsha rupa rasa gandha. Puti gandha. Worst smell that you swoon smelling that. Nityayatanam. That means continuously this kind of bada. There's no, all of these 5 panchakastas through 5 indriyas, it's always happening all the time in these narakas. And then he says panchakasta is also panchebhyo rauravadibhyah kastam tvadva panchakastamiti. And also landing in the 5 of these narakalokas. Raurava, Maharaurava, Vakni, Vaitarani, Kumbhipaka. That is also panchakasta, the 5. These are different panchakasta. And then you can see here, Api Sapta. Yadyapi Bahu Kotayo Narakaha. There are koti, thousands and thousands and thousands of narakalokas. Tathapi, even then, Sapta Pradhana Nityapi Shabdaha. Api Sapta doesn't mean only 7 narakas are there. There are kotis and kotis. Api means also 7. Also 7 means there are 7 main. So there are, how many narakalokas are there? Innumerable narakalokas are there. 7 are primary. Right? So look at the beauty of how it's explained, right? Yadyapi bahu kotayo narakaha tatapi sapta pradhana nityapi shabdaha iti api shabdaha. The api sapta, the api means also 7. Means there are numerous other, but also 7 main. Darshayati cha acharyaha iti sapta pradhana nityaha iti. That means from the Mahabharata quote, it has been shown in the commentary that the 7 are actually the pradhana narakas, but there are koti narakas. Right? 1 second. Good. So this is the 13th century work describing the Samyamane. This is called as a Samyamane, the Adhyaya, where it starts. What is Yamaloka? In which it talks about the Narakalokas. Sapta. So now time for us to what? See the Narakalokas. Hold on, let me stop sharing this. You know, Trivikrama Pandita, he has written a beautiful this one work called Vayustuti. In that he describes Narakaloka, that what we will see in 2 verses. And the verse itself will convey the harshness of the environment and the situation of the jiva in that. Right? I'll tell you both of them. First one. Uttapta tyutkatatvit prakata katakata dhvana sanghattanodhyat vidyut vyudha spulinga prakara vikiranot kvatithe badhitangan utgadham pathyamana tamasi tata ita kinkaraihi pankilete panktir gramnam garimna gapayatihi bhavadveshano vidvadadyaha. Number 1, description of Narakaloka, Adhogati. Uttapta utkatatvit, that means the rocks which are burning. Uttapta tyutkatatvit prakata katakata dhvana sanghattanodhyat vidyut vyudha spulinga. That means it is like full of fire. These rocks which are burning, when they are coming down, kata kata means they are hitting each other and making kata kata sound. And they are coming, and you are running away from that burning rocks, but it will catch up. But you will not die. You will burn, but you will not die. Right? Badhita angan, your skin is burning, but there is no end to that. It's not like in this life, you know, after a certain point you're dead and that's it. But there you never die. Your body will regenerate again, and then you still again suffer. So that, and then he uses it's a bijakshara called ksha. Ksha is death. It's a Narsimha bijakshara, but it's also bijakshara of death. Okay. But he's defining the pancha kasta, the 5 kastas that happen. Actually, part of the different Narakalokas he has taken from those different Narakalokas, and then he has mixed everything in this verse, and playing on ksha, because that is it's a bijakshara of death. Okay. Kshut kshaman ruksharakshoradakaranakarachunna vikshobitakshan Amagnan kshuramukamukaraihi pakshibar vikshatangan puyasran mutra vishta krimikula kalile takshakshipta shaktyadhyastra vratartitamstvat dvisha upajihate vajrakalpa jalukaha. That is the description of Panchakashta. Playing on the word, on the sound ksha. Kshut kshaman, thirst and hunger. Ruksha Kshut kshaman ruksharaksho radakharanakharakshunna vikshobitakshan. Rakshasas with, khara means sharp, nakhara, nails. They are kind of scratching you deeply. Their rada, that is their teeth, canines. They're kind of biting you. The skin, you're suffering, but then the skin is regenerating. Amagnan andhakupe. You've fallen in the andhakupa. Kshuramukha mukharaihi pakshibir vikshatangan. All these birds with, kind of sharp beaks. You've fallen dead. And then they're kind of fighting with each other, trying to pull the flesh out of your body. Kshutshaman ruksha radakharana karakshunna vikshobitakshan amagnan andhakupe kshuramukha mukharaihi pakshibir vikshatangan. Puyasran. Puya means pus. The English word pus comes from puyas. Anand, we have to keep this as another talk. I actually gave, in my Toastmasters, I gave a speech on the connection of language, comparing English and Sanskrit on Friday. It was good.
Very good.
So, and I was actually asked to spend more time on taking a couple of words and do another speech, just taking a couple of words. And so then, Puyasran, srik means blood. Puyas, pus, srik, blood. Mutra, urine. Vishta, feces. you're swimming in those things. You're fallen there. This is of course Sukshma Loka. This is Sukshma Loka. Puyasran, Mutra Vishta, Krimikula Kalile, Krimikula, all the insects and bacteria, they're all over.
Is it just the experience of the mind, or does it actually happen there? Because it's not a physical universe to see all that stuff, right?
No, it's experience of the mind, but it is also in the Sukshma. The Sukshma happens. This is like in the dream. You're getting it in the dream, but these exist in the Sukshma Loka. These are Sukshma Loka. This is not somebody's imagination. This is Sukshma Loka, but it is like in a dream. When things are happening in a dream, you are experiencing it through Sukshma Sharira. So this is happening through Sukshma Sharira. Puyasrin Mutra Vishta Krimikula Kalile Takshanakshipta Shaktya Astradya, so they're throwing astras. And Vajrakalpa Jaluka, that means like the diamond kind of scorpions, These are all there. When we were growing up, they would say, Chere Kachatte. That means, the scorpions will bite you if you did something. These are all actually from the experiences in the Naraka Loka. Right? Insects, you'll get insects, they'll say, Hula Bedatte or something, that's the thing that it's in speech. That means you'll get insects. It's related to Yama's story, but also that insects biting you and living in your body and eating you, slowly, that is again a curse. It's a curse. And it's a Naraka Yatana. Right? Puyasran Mutra Vishta Krimikula Kalile Takshanakshipta Shaktya Jastra Vratar Ditam Stvat Disha Upajayate Vajrakalpa Jalukaha. Like a diamond kind of scorpion bite. So these are all the experiences in different Narkalokas that he has brought together. And then finally he says, I don't want any of this. He says, Matar me matarishwan, Pitaratula Guru, Bhratarishtapta Bandho, Swamin Sarvantaratman, Ajarajara Itar Janma Mrutya Mayanam. He says, Matarishwan, oh Pranadeva, please save me. I don't want to fall into this. Please save me. I've held your feet tightly. Save me. And give me the bhakti of Paramatma. He says. So beautiful. He says, I don't want to get into the details of this. Just save me from this kind of a gati. What should I've held your feet tightly. He says, you are the father, you are the mother, you are my relative, you are my friend. Matarishwan, O Pranadeva, save me from the adogati. Give me the bhakti of Paramatma. Okay. So let us go into detail. Do you want details?
Please. Please.
Okay, let's look at it.
It's beautiful.
See, this is what what is that?
Shaking the base. Wow.
Yeah, the reason is to get vairagya in one. Yeah. Life is meaningless. Indulging in that life, is nothing, right? Of course, there is meaningless doesn't mean give up everything, but it is not everything is what it is saying. There is something beyond your everyday thing. Focus on that. Work on that. Is what all the Puranas say. Okay. So now let us come to. I collected some from the Garuda Purana that I have. And so this is the Sapta Lokas, Api Sapta. I showed you the Apasapta, right? See, Tamisra. That is, these are the two of no return. Once you go there, for example, Kali, Duryodhana, right? And all of the other avatars that Kali will take, also because he's the lord of this age, he will fall in Andhata Misra, never to come back up again. That is Nitya Naraka, Nitya Dukkha. But after 100 years, just like Brahma is doing sadhana for his 100 years, good sadhana, Kali is doing bad sadhana. He's doing bad things in everything, right? In the sense like the chaos that he brings, right? When floods happen, or when the universe, something gets out of orbit. We are talking about universal chaos, not just because he is also in the body. He's also in the Adhibhuta and Adidaiva domain as well. The Daityas are also there in these domains. The Daityas are also there in Adhyatma, the Daityas are also there in Adhibhuta, the Daityas are also there in Adhidaivika. And the war that we talk about, Devas and Daityas, that is the war that's going on in every domain. In our domain, the war is going on is when we are thinking, should I do this bad thing or not? That is the Devatas and the Asuras. And when no longer you ask the question and keep doing bad, that means the Daityas are won in the Adhyatma domain. So you no longer there is a fight. You have no remorse, no fight, nothing. That means Devatas are completely gone in that fight. Okay. So Kali, Lakshmi, and all of the big Daityas, Madhu, Kaitaba, and all of the Daityas that you see that take birth again and again in different in ages, they all fall in Andhata Misra, Nitya Dukkha. There is no return. Constant torment of the 5 kindness, the Panchakashtas, and no return. There is no coming out of it. Again, Tamisra, heinous crimes. Again, this is not one. This is like again and again. Because once you have done, you go back to the worst, even worse. And that is the sadhana of the evil. The evil also has sadhana. That is how, like Hitler is one sadhana. Then more heinous, even worse. Now he might become, probably is an avatar of some Asura, but then the Asura tries to do even worse, killing all of the rishis, in the next one. So that is his sadhana. Then he'll do more and more on sadhana, but he's doing sadhana for the Narakaloka. Right? So they finally fall under Tamisra. Again, darkness with no return. Okay. Then there are other koti Narakalokas, of which the 5 that the Mahabharata talked about. Raurava, people who are constantly causing social disorder, people, pain to society and people and all of these things. They go to call Ruru it's actually a snake. A Ruru is a snake, but also wild animals. That constantly, that means, think of a nightmare dream where you fall into a forest constantly being attacked by wild animals, right? And then, some lion comes and attacks and then eats off your hand. You're in full in pain and then find out that the hand is regenerated. So then another lion can come and eat. There is no ending, right? That is Raurava Naraka. Again, same thing. Maharaurava is another deadlier one. It says Uttarottaram. That means if Raurava is bad, Kumbhipaka is the worst. That means in this there is a hierarchy. Raurava is at the bottom. Kumbhipaka is at the top of the Anitya Narakas. So then Maharaurava is again the next level. Again attacked by wild animals and then much more pain inflicted on the dead person. Right? Vakni, as the name itself says, is fire, roasted by fire. Right? If people have killed people in fire, and they have done that again and again and again in life, that gati happens to them, where they will be roasted, but they will not die, but they will suffer the pain. There is no dying because Sukshma Sharira, right? The Sukshma Sharira is there. You will be roasted, there is no death. And then constantly being pained by all of those things. People who destroy nature, who cause havoc to the innocent people, all of those, they have this called Vakni Loka. Vaitarani. Vaitarani is what he described. Puyasran Mutravishta Krimikula Kalile Takshana Kshipta Shaktya. That is this one. Those who are adharmis with power. Because you had power, you did adharma and destroyed innocent lives because of power. That comes as this river of filth made of pus and feces and urine, in which you will fall down and again and never be able to come out. Of course, in the Sukshma Sharira. That is called as Vaitarani Naraka. Kumbhipaka is the worst. And this is for destroying people for food and also destroying innocent animals for food. Many people use this to say, become a vegetarian, because otherwise you'll in Kumbhipaka hell. I don't think that, I think this is killing painfully innocent animals for food or for enjoyment, not just food, but enjoyment. People who go game hunting in Africa, killing innocent animals that are, just playing by themselves. And again, this is not just one incident. They're doing this again and again and again, and doing all of these bad things. It's called as Kumbi Paka. Kumbha is pot, Paka is cooking. That means you will be cooked in the oil. This is all I have heard when my parents use all of those things. You'll fall in this roasting in oil. Yamabhatas will roast you in oil. Don't do such things. They used to say that in back then, which is not just a couple of decades ago. Back then is not a long time. But of course, everything is gone now. People don't remember any of these things. Roasting in oil, being cooked. The Narakaloka in which the Mrutas are cooked in a fire, just like they cooked innocent animals, or they treated the innocent animals for pleasure, just for pleasure. That is Kumbhipaka, the worst of the impermanent narakas. Because after suffering all of these things, again, you can go to different, you might have done different things in life. You might have, through power, destroyed innocent lives, and then hunted, people not do one thing, they do many things. So you go up and down into these different Narakalokas. So for Kumbhipaka is the lowest. So then if you have caste social disorder and all of those things, then you go up to Raurava Naraka, right? And then suffer for that. Then if you have done, Vakni, then you come down to Vakni Loka and suffer there. And then you suffer for everything and then get out from the Yamalokas and the Narakalokas and then be born again. And in the lowest of the lowest, into poverty or into, countries. This Puyasaran Mutra Vishta is also country. Like look at, you don't have to go to any other country. In India itself, that which was a river 50 years ago is now full of, feces and urine and all of those things in the middle of the city. In Bangalore, I forget the name of that river. There is a river in Bangalore which I'm born and grown up in Bangalore and never knew that. But I've always wondered that old temples, there's something called Gali Hanumantraya temple on the Mysore road. And next to it is this filth, like a canal kind of thing. And I was like, why next to temple? Why all these things? It used to be a river at one point of time. I forget the name. But now all the drainage goes to that. And it's next to a temple, an old temple. I mean, this is a couple of 100 years old temple. But there is, all of this drainage draining into these channels and going around. So if you have a slum next to it, that is Puyasan Mutra Vishta Krimikula Kalile Takshana Kshipta Shaktya. So that is also happening here in this world as well. So it's not just in Naraka. Kshine Punya or Kshine Pape Matyalokam Vishanti. When you come into this world, you will be born in those situations. It will continue. The story will continue. What happened in Naraka Loka will be Naraka in Bhuloka. You will be born in those situations. Right? And then all of the other ones. Kala Sutra, torturing, parents, putting them into starvation and all of those things. You will have the same treatment. You will become old and then nobody's taking care of you. That is Kala Sutra. Asipatra, right? Malpractice, all of these people whose video is coming out in YouTube, this is the Naraka for them. Those who do malpractices in spiritual practices, they would say I'm the guru and they do all the bad things. For them is Asipatra is waiting for them. Okay? That is this one. Sukara Mukha. Sukara means pig. This is you are being chased by a wild boar and wild animals. And then, people who are doing unlawful activities and all those. Andhakupa, right? As it says, you fall in a well and then you're attacked by all of these activities, all these animals. Vajrakandaka, Krimi Bhojanam, selfish person who did not give anything in life. He hoarding, people who hoard, who are selfish, they fall into Narakaloka called Krimi Bhojanam. Of course, you know what Krimi Bhojanam is. You become Bhojana of the Krimis, right? Insects and all of those things. Talmali, sex offenders, pedophiles, all of these people, infidelity, those people, they fall under the Talmali Naraka. Puyodaya, that means that, I said not Puyas, shameless behavior, infidelity, all of those things. And then same thing, all Pashusrava. Pashusrava is kind of like the saliva of the animals, right? Torturing of sattvic animals, torturing of the cows, torturing of deer, torturing of very innocent animals, right? That is another Naraka. Avichi, bearing false evidence. All of these, again, these are different levels, right? One thing you have done and you fall, no, of course. The extent of the Papa Karma and the extent of the hurt determines the extent of the suffering. Paribatanam, and then Kashara Kardama. I forget what it meant. Okay, Rakshogana, again, that's another famous one, where people have done, that's this called as the Vamachara, Vama Marga, right? They do Naramedha. Of course, Naramedha, they used to do that for evil people. That means when they captured an enemy, like for example, if Prithviraj Chauhan and what was that name, Gori. If Prithviraj Chauhan won over Gori and had done the Naramedha of Gori, that is not fine, because he's fit for that. But again, if two people fight and the enemy is a good man and he's brought and they did a human sacrifice of that enemy, that is Naramedha. And committing suicide, that's the other one, right? Shula Protha is that's the one. That's the one where I said the beaks of sharp beaks of the birds are like pulling the flesh from you. That Suchimukha, and then Kunta Suta, that is stinging of those animals, right? Vajrakalpa Jaduka, that is this. Not doing any good, doing always bad, thinking always bad. So these are, it goes on, but I just captured a couple of them. Lala Bhakshanam, bad treatment of wife, bad treatment of husband, wives, bad treatment of husbands, bad treatment of wives, unchaste relationship, infidelity, losing trust, breaking trust, in all of those things will have the same kind of things will happen in your Sukshma Sharira, in the Lala Bhakshanam, in that Naraka. Okay, good. Right? These are, Garuda Purana has these kinds of things. Again, these are adhogatis. If you have not done anything good in life, don't expect something good to happen. These are all the details I talked about. It says, there is time, even now, turn around is what it is.
So Sunil, most people are a combination of good and bad. So
Yes.
how does it get distributed between all those
So
things?
that's why
Does it cancel each other, or does it have to be
no, it doesn't
experienced
cancel.
separately?
It's experienced separately, and but then that's what the Brahma Sutra says: Arohanam, Avarohanam. That means you suffer for the bad things, and then you go up and enjoy for the good things you do. So both of them are there.
But it is suffering first and then enjoying the good that comes later, right?
That depends.
It depends. It depends on the balance, right? What balance you have. But yeah.
It's
So
again,
this is what in Bhagavata, in in so many other Puranas, this is called adhogati, right? Save me from adhogati. is what Narada, if you go to Narada, different Puranas where Narada goes to Narakaloka and he's like, oh, I cannot see this. How do I give them a good gati, and how do they get a good gati, because they are suffering and I cannot see this suffering. And so this is where there is a story of Ramanujacharya, right? Visishtadvaita. There's a story that some guru told him that he's going to give him a diksha mantra, and then told him that he cannot tell this to anybody else. And that was the Narayana Ashtakshari mantra that he told him. And then what happens once he received that? He comes up. I forget the place. This was. I think it is in Karnataka. What is that? Hey, Karthik might know. That Dalapati song. Which place is it that it is picturized?
Which Ganesha songs?
Oh, Dalapati.
Oh, Dalapati movie.
Rakamma song. Where that arch is there now. Where is that? That is in Karnataka.
Karnataka.
It's a big Sri Vaishnava place.
Mandya.
No, not Mandya. I'll have to check.
Srirangapatnam?
No, not Srirangapatnam. It's a big Sri Vaishnava place in Karnataka. It has a huge arch. Many movies they shoot there near the arch. Anyway, so then he comes out there, and then he yells it out to all the people. He says, "Save yourself from adhogati. Keep chanting this." Right? So remember, Narayana Ashtakshara mantra is Ashtakshari. Right? So,
is that Raya Kopura, Sunil? Raya Kopura?
What?
Raya Kopura, is that a place called Raya Kopura?
No.
That's what it mentioned.
See, I have to tell you a little bit of astrology here, because Ashtakshara mantra is there. See, there are 12 signs, right? There is a set of 3. There are 3 dharma trikonas, 3 artha trikonas, 3 kama trikonas, 3 moksha trikonas. So 1, 5, 9 are dharma trikona, and of which 9, this is Dhanur Rashi. This is Kodanda Rama. Kodanda Rama is here. Police is here. Judge is here. Kodanda Rama is Kodanda Pani. With Shastra Brutam Varaha, what Krishna says in this chapter. Rama is there. He is the protector of Dharma. That is in the Dhanur Rashi. So Mesha, Simha, Dhanur represents Dharma, the keeping of order. Rishabha, Kanya, Makara is the Artha Trikona, where the Artha, Bhoga, and money, all of those things are there in the Rishabha Rashi, agriculture, right? What we get in the Kanya Rashi, in the Makara Rashi. Then Kama Trikona, Mithuna, the name itself says Mithuna, right? That means Mithuna means sex, or joining of male and female. Mithuna Rashi, then Tula Rashi, and Kumbha Rashi. So these are Kama Trikonas, or also Vayu Tattva Rashis also. And then Moksha Trikonas are the 4th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house. So what is Jyotishya telling about moksha? Moksha has 3 things. 4th house is house of heart, right? Where the 4th heart. 1 is head, buddhi. 2 is face and kantha and all those. 3 is hands. 4 is heart. So 4 is where the heart is. Right? What is the nature of this one? Mukti. The nature of mukti is Ananda. It is about heart. Finally, everything is about heart. That is an end in itself. Heart is an end in itself. Okay? So it is Ananda that comes from the 4th house. That is the nature of mukti. Then 8th house. What is 8th house?
Death.
Karthik.
Death. Eighth house is a death.
Yeah, death. But what about in this body? After you get up, you go to the 8th house.
Yeah.
What is that? Number 2. Right? 8th house is going to number 2.
Loss, sudden.
That is no, not sudden compared to that.
Yeah.
But that is what? The filth that is inside, the waste that is inside, that has to go away from the body. That is the job of the 8th house. What is stuck in the body is the sanchita prarabdha karmas. 8th house is the karmas that you carry in the body. The karmas that not in the body, karmas that you carry. So there is no mukti without clearing of the 8th house. See, in any muhurta, if anyone has any muhurtas, they always say Ashtama Shuddhi in a muhurta. That means there should be no planet in the 8th house in any muhurta, that for good things that you do. That means Ashtama should be clean. Okay. So now the 8th house means cleansing. The cleansing of your karmas is the 8th house. And the Ashtakshari mantra is the one that cleanses. 8th house is also Adhogati, because it is 12th from the 9th. 12th is Dharma, 8th means Adharma. Adharma, Naraka, everything comes here in the 8th. Which means what? You know, there is yoga and kshema, right? Yoga kshema. Kshema means what? Yoga means gaining something. Kshema means saving yourself.
Well-being.
Well-being.
Well-being, but saving. That means kshema means stopping the loss. Stop loss. Stop the loss, right? That is not losing what you already have is called kshema, right? And if you look at Christianity, salvation is kshema in that sense, because it's saving the gati from the adhogati. Same, that is also the job of the 8th house, is to save you. So what should you do first? Save yourself or not save yourself? Save yourself. That is what all the Puranas is saying. Save yourself. And he says, how do you save yourself? Om Namo Narayanaya. The Ashtakshari mantra cleanses the 8th house, saves you from the adhogati. And that's the mantra they give in the Puranas, and also in the story of Ramanuja and all of those things. That is the Ashtakshari mantra. Narayana Ashtakshari mantra is the mantra that protects from adhogati. What should you do now? After all of this, what should you do now?
Chant. Om Namo Narayanaya.
Save yourself. Save ourselves. Save ourselves should be the first thing. Then we can look after, mukti. People, when you meet people, they say, oh, I think I'll become mukta. Okay, thank you. I don't want to hear the next sentence. Save yourself. Mukti is there, after many millions, if ever there is. So save yourself first. Kshema chintana first. Yoga chintana will come later on. If mukti is a yoga chintana, saving yourself from adhogati is kshema chintana. Save yourself first. How do you save yourself first? Chant Om Namo Narayanaya every day, 108 times. Saves it. And also especially, Janaka Shadakshari has been given. Again, if you look at all of the Puranas, they are like, oh, Kali Yuga is coming. How do you save people in Kali Yuga? Remember the rishis, their mentality of the rishis is, Kali Yuga is coming, it's very easy. People go in wrong paths. And once they go in the wrong path, they're going to, fall into all of this. How do we save them? Janaka Shadakshari, very simple. Hare Rama Krishna is the Janaka Shadakshari, and that is the mantra. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's not ISKCON. The mantra is a Purana mantra. ISKCON uses it, which is a good thing about ISKCON, among many other things. But the mantra is the Puranic mantra. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That is derived from the Janaka Shadakshari mantra. It is also the representation of Omkara. Akaro Krishna, Ukaro Rama, Makaro Narasimha, Nado Varaha. So Rama, Krishna, Rama, Narasimha, Varaha. 4 forms representing the Omkara. That you can see the temples around, especially in South India, they're actually based on the Omkara Vachaka or Omkara Abhimani Paramatma forms. Krishna, all of the Krishna Vigrahas are there. Rama Vigrahas will be there. Narasimha Vigrahas are there. Varaha is actually gone. Varaha is actually Nada, so Mukti, but that is absent. Tirupati is there on the side because he's the ruler of that the Saptagiri. But Varaha temples were there at one time. Everywhere in India, Varaha was there, was worshipped. That form was worshipped. But that's for high sadhakas, Varaha is there. But for otherwise, Ma, it is Krishna, Rama, or Narasimha. Right? So Hare Rama, Hari is the Narahari, Narasimha. Rama is the Ukara. Krishna is the Akara. So the Omkara comes in with Hare Rama mantra. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So Kshema Chintana, don't think of Mukti. That is, think of stopping the Adogati. How to stop the Adogati? Right? Chant the Narayana Ashtakshara mantra to cleanse the 8th house. The 8th house has to be clean. Ashtama Shuddhi has to be there in our life. All the karmas should go away. How do you do that? Chant the Narayana Ashtakshara. Tell him, stop me from the Adogati. You take me wherever you can take. You are not saying, oh, give me Swarga. No, then that means you are dictating. See, if you look at any Puranas, has any of the Rakshasas and Asuras worshipped Vishnu and asked for a boon?
No.
Nobody. They will ask either Brahma or they'll ask Shiva. Shiva is very easy because, he'll become very happy and then he'll give. He's very quick to become happy. That's his job. He's Manokaraka, Ahankaraka, Abhimani, right? So he'll give the job, thing. But of course, there's always a caveat. They'll say, if only this thing is changed, then you'll die or something, they'll say. Right? Brahma is also like that. He'll give. But Vishnu, no Asura goes to Vishnu for a boon. Ravana? No. Kamsa? No. Nobody goes to Vishnu for the boon.
Not even Arjuna. Didn't go to Vishnu.
So, because you cannot dictate to Vishnu. You cannot dictate to Paramatma. What do you say? Diyo yona prachodayat. My reins are in your hands. Like Arjuna's chariot was in Krishna's hands. You drive it. It is in your hands. I am going to give you the mantra pushpa at your feet of Narayana Ashtakshara. Save me from Adogati, Kshema Chintana. That is all you can do. Don't ask anything else. Don't ask anything, especially for this mantra, don't ask anything else. Then it becomes Nishkamak. When you say, I am at your feet, you choose what to do, that becomes Nishkama. Very powerful. Right? Don't use this Narayana Ashtakshara for, let me get $50,000. Narayana will never give that. He will never give that. Just like he never gave any boon to any of the Asuras. He's not going to give any of those things. Okay. So you have to do the right thing the right way to Narayana.
He's a principle, right, Sunil? He's not a
Kshema Chintana. So he's a Kshema Chintana. That means save yourself with the Narayana Ashtakshara because that is what he cleanses your Ashtama dosha or the karma. And what is the 12th house? I said 4th is Ananda, 8th is cleansing, 12th is freedom. Right? 1 is Bandhana. You're born. The Lagna, the time of birth is 1. That is when the dharma of the world attaches to you. Then when you give up the body, that is the 12th house. It is also a house of sleep. Because when you sleep, you are no longer attached to the body. How you sleep, whether you sleep well or not, is also seen under 12th house. It is also.
This is beautiful. I mean, the way
And
they,
what you give, Vyayasthana, right? What you give, that means what you are not holding is in the 12th house. When you give to somebody, even it is donating, dana and all that, you are triggering the 12th house. That means you are triggering the moksha trikona, right? Why charity is important? Because it triggers the moksha trikona. Why making others happy is important? Because it triggers 4th house of the moksha trikona. Why chanting the 4th, the 8 akshara mantras or the Hare Krishna mantras? Very important, especially in Kali Yuga, because it cleanses the karma of the 8th house. With the 4th, 8th and 12th, there is some chance of sadgati. Otherwise, there is no chance. Especially 8th is very bad because it is your sanchita and prarabdha karmas. That has to first go. So make sure that you chant the 108 of the Narayana Ashtakshari mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya Ashtakshari, without fail every day. Whatever you do, don't forget this. And what you ask Narayana for this, prevent me from the adogati. That's it. No other, nothing. You take me wherever, it's in your hands. You are the charioteer. Take me. I don't ask for that. But please prevent me from the adogati. That is the prachodana that the Gayatri mantra is asking. Diyo yona prachodayat. What is that prachodana? In the sanmarga. Take my mind in the right path. Don't take me into all this reading bad books, reading, being in the association of the bad people, because who you are with is who you are going to be. So all of those things, cleansing that is in the power of the 8th house. Very important, very powerful. 8th house is very powerful for kshema, to make sure that the cleansing of the karma happens is the 8th house. So that's also the house of suffering, right? Because that is where your karma, what you have done is seen in the 8th. If you don't have a good karma, there will be some bad planet in the 8th house. So that will be the caning that all these descriptions here showing, that will be done mainly here, and then a little portion will be done in this world, through different people. Okay, so almost 1 o'clock. Any questions? We covered a lot of them.
One question, Sunil.
Yes.
Sunil, so when you say that Narakaloka, that people have to go through this, is it based off of Agami karma they have created?
How can
Prarabdha karma or the Sanchita karma?
How can it be? No. Agami karma is in the future.
Okay. Now, Agami is like what we are doing in this life, right? So that goes to our Sanchita karma as a.
Yes. Yeah,
So
yeah.
when-
But see, think of it like a queue. You have a long queue. Okay. What you are doing today is going at the back of the queue.
Okay.
But there are so many other things you have done that has to be suffered or enjoyed. In whatever it is, right? And then what you do today will come after 10 births.
Oh,
Okay?
that's
So like
a tight rule.
That is why don't try to manipulate karma and all of those things. Give up, let go. 12th house. There is no 12th house attitude. Let go. 12th house is let go. Let go of ahankara. I will do this. I will nothing. Then what?
So Sunil, so the karma gets attached to you only when you do it with attachment or with there should be emotion attached with the action, right? So it'll be attachment or hatred. So if you're doing let's say somebody is doing bad things but no attachment or no hatred, then karma doesn't stick to them.
No, like for example, Arjuna killing in the battle.
Yeah.
There's no. Of course, even people in the army, when they're shooting, they don't know who that is. They don't have any personal enmity, right?
Yeah.
They're doing their job. So that is actually Virasvarga. They get something called as Virasvarga.
Okay. So that means,
So
if you don't have that emotion attached, you don't have emotion attached with the action, then it really doesn't stick to you.
Correct. But you cannot manipulate that. You cannot say, I'll do bad things but not have emotion attached. That will not happen.
So is it intent, Sunil, that you have to go say? Any action that is driven by an intent is what drives the karma, right?
Correct, correct. See, I told when I was teaching the third chapter, I said karma and kama are almost the same. Because kama, the intent, the desire behind the action determines karma.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just kriya, it's just action, right?
Yeah, you mentioned it in the class earlier.
Yeah. Philosophical action is one with an intent. What is the intent behind that action? That is important. And that is why in the 12th house, you give up control. 12th house is letting go. I'm giving up and saying, I am not the doer, you are the doer, right? That yoga, the illusion of control, when do you understand it? When the 12th house is triggered, then you say, I let go. I am not in control, you are in control. Right?
Questions. In terms of what you go through in this life, journey, as from the time you're born to death.
Yeah.
Is it driven by Sanchita karma or Prarabdha karma?
No, Prarabdha karma. Sanchita karma is the storehouse. Which the Prarabdha karma is released for your birth. So Prarabdha karma is something that's already released. So you cannot burn it. You cannot burn Prarabdha karma. So the 8th house cleansing is only the cleansing of the Sanchita karma.
So the Prarabdha karma is only for one lifetime, Sunil? Or?
No, it can be for a couple of lifetimes, but it is limited.
Okay.
Prarabdha karma is limited lifetime. But Sanchita karma is like the storehouse of all the karma. Even the Agami karma, that goes back to Sanchita. Right? So the one.
So we have a capacity to get rid of all the Sanchita karma in this lifetime alone.
Oh, right? Yeah, yes. You have the capacity to burn the Sanchita karma completely.
And that's what they say, this art of living, this meditation and all the kriya practices are supposed to help with that, right?
See, that is the difference between, of course, art of living is I also do Sudarshan Kriya. So, but Vedanta has the name of Paramatma, right? So as cleansing your mind is meaningless for Vedavyasa. Cleansing the mind for the bhakti of Paramatma is meaningful to Vedanta. But as I have not gone through all the other courses and all that. But I don't know what art of living has bhakti and all of those things in it or not. I don't know. But if anything don't have these ingredients of bhakti to Paramatma and all of those things, then you're doing half things. Or you're kind of doing one part of it, and the other major part is missing. Right? So when you do all of those things, you have to add Paramatma in it or mantra sadhana in it. Then you're actually doing the whole sadhana.
Sunil, one thing which you mentioned, we have 3 nakshatras in Simha Rasi, and all the 3 are ruled by Yama, right?
No, you're not Pitru devatas.
Pitru devatas. The reason I think the reason could be it's a natural 5th house. It's a Purva Punya Sthana. That could be one of the reasons, right?
Purva Punya, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
That's what you told me.
Aryama is also there.
Yes.
Pitrus are also there in the 5th house.
When we have some conversation, you told me that's how it's so powerful.
5th is very powerful because it's your Purva Punya that is come now and it's expressing in your life. That's also a house of kids, right? It reveals in our kids and all of those things. It's also the house of. It's also the house of mantra. Mantrastha. 5th house is the house of mantrasthana. It is a house of mantra. So it is very powerful, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. It is so 5th is supported by the 8th house, right? All kendras support each other. So 5th kendra, 5th is 8th. So that means when you do the Ashtakshari mantra, it supports the 5th house. It's the mantra of the 5th house you're doing to cleanse the 8th house that support each other.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. So this class, we don't know how. This is already 1 o'clock. Super.
No. What most important thing? Even if you forget everything from today, some might choose to forget it.
No, I'm doing it every day, Sunil. So you told me, so I'm doing it.
Remember, please start Narayana Ashtakshari to save, don't ask anything in return, just for Sadgati. Prevent the Durgati. Narayana Ashtakshara mantra for Sadgati, to prevent the Durgati. That's it. And Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That is for, especially for Kali Yuga, that is the Janaka Shadakshari, derived from Janaka Shadakshari. It is not ISKCON mantra. Don't think it's ISKCON thing. ISKCON uses it, but it is a mantra from the Purana. It's for Kali Yuga that has been written to save people in the Kali Yuga. Oh, what should we do? What should we do? The rishis were kind of thinking all of those things. This is one of the mantras that save. It's in Kali Yuga. It should all be about saving. So save yourself. Oh, I am born in this Kali Yuga. There's so many different bad things that's going on. Good, leave the good. Please save yourself from the bad. So that should be the aim. Kshema Chintana. How not to land in these bad adhogatis. Ashtakshara mantra to cleanse, and the Janaka Shadakshari or the Hare Krishna mantra. That's it. Do it daily. Do it with that intent. It should be with intent, not like a machine, but with the intent of avoiding the Durgati. And that's it. I think the Puranas tell us you will get good Gati. Right? So the bad Gatis are prevented. Now, the story of Ajamila, there are all these different stories that the Puranas talk about where, just the name of Narayana saved him from Durgati and all of those things. Okay, a lot of, everybody is silent. I don't know why.
It's like we don't know what to talk. So much there. So.
Your class is at a different level today, Sunil.
We are like so much now.
No. See, all of this is not to create. Of course, this is to create fear. I mean, but this is to create vairagya, right? So this is to create vairagya. That means, after seeing all this, you should think of your life is really. I think somebody is. So. Hold on. Yeah, so this is what the Vairagya Pada is about in the Brahma Sutra, is when you hear and learn about all of these things, you understand, oh my goodness, my life is really incomplete. I mean, it's meaningless. Most of the lives are meaningless. Because every day I'm doing the same thing, I'm just doing again and again and again. That's it. How to make this life meaningful? So that extra thing that brings meaning into life, right? That is what is required. And these are the things that bring meaning to life. So very important to understand this, because there's only one chance. You never know whether you're going to be born as human again. We don't know. So why not just, when we say stop adhogati, it doesn't mean just stop from narakalokas, from bad yonis also. That means being born as insect, dog, all centipede and snake. It also includes that. That means you will be born again as a human being, so the sadhana is possible. That is what preventing from adhogati is, right? So that is what you're asking Paramatma with the Ashtakshari by cleaning up your 8th house. Cleaning your 8th house is number 1. That is what the first thing you do when you get up in the morning is what? Go to number 2. So number 2 is number 1. 8th house has to activate first. You're cleansed. Then the 4th house will activate. Oh, you'll be happy. Oh, gone. Everything is gone. You'll be happy. Then, 12th house. You're independent. You're letting go, not holding. Ahankara. I will do this. All of this thing. Let go of all of those things. Then let him handle. Let him be the charioteer. Right? So that is the intent that should be in your mind when you're chanting the Narayana Ashtakshara mantra. Definitely, I cannot repeat this again and again. This is one class you have attended. The one message from this class is to prevent the adhogati is to chant Narayana Ashtakshara mantra every day, no matter what. It takes 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is the least of the investment that you can do, for this. And then, of course, Hare Krishna mantra is also very, very good for Kali Yuga.
So the Narayana Ashtakshari will clear the Sanchita karma in the 8th house. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Correct. Narayana Ashtakshari is there. It is there for cleansing of the 8th house.
You're at a different level today, Sunil.
No, I have to up my level again, right? Otherwise, you guys are used to it, and then you'll get bored.
No. 2.5 hours. You didn't know how it passed.
No, 2.5 hours passed, but then what will happen after this? That is important, right? Are you going to chant that 108 every day?
We promise.
You already see that, Sunil, in everyone, so it's going to grow.
No, I'm saying because
we promise.
This is the thing that's required. The 8th house need to be cleansed. There is nothing else for you. 8th house needs to be cleansed first, and that is the soap of Narayana Ashtakshari. Use that, clean, and then everything else will happen. That's fine. We cannot control it, but at least stop loss, and then we'll think of gain. Or at least I think of it like that. Hopefully you also do. Okay. Any other question? We have covered quite a lot today. Next class, what we'll talk about Yama. I mean, of course, most of that is also part of this, which we have covered. But the story of Yama and how he came about and all of those things we'll do next time. And after that, I think the stories will be smaller than this. No major. Prahlada is there. That is a well-known story and all of those. So those things will be short, and then we'll finish it off. But today one name, Aryama, is 2 hours, because it takes that much to go in depth and understand that. Okay. Okay then. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Om.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil.
See you next week. And happy chanting.
Thank you.
Please chant Narayana Ashtakshara. Don't forget.
Yes.
5-minute investment. They say leverage. 5 minute investment to save. You'll not get a better deal than that.
आगे बताया तो हमने स्टार्ट कर दिया है.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. See you next week. Bye.